Hello everyone, my name is Brian Stenson, and I did my second article review on Auditory Scene Analysis, Tales from Cognitive Neurosciences by Claude Elaine and Laurie J. Bernstein. The purpose of this article is to outline some of the accomplishments and milestones in auditory neurosciences since Bergman's publication on auditory scene analysis in 1990. Auditory neuroscience has far-reaching societal implications on health and quality of life. Auditory Scene Analysis, or ASA, provides a framework for future researchers in the following areas: speech perception, music perception, neurophysiology, and computational neuroscience. What is auditory scene analysis? Auditory scene analysis is a model first proposed by Albert Bregman in 1990. It is the basis of auditory perception, basically how humans process sound in the brain. Three key components of ASA include segmentation, integration, and segregation. This relates to our reading in Chapter 4 on receptions of sounds in the brain. Taking cues from visual perception researchers such as Gestalt, Bregman applied the following principles of perceptual grouping to auditory scene analysis: physical similarity, temporal and spatial proximity, common fate, and good continuity principles. Auditory selective attention looks at how people focus on a particular sound in the presence of other auditory stimuli. Early research of auditory selective attention used event-related potentials, ERPs, to show neural signs of early selection based on perceptual characteristics or features. A common experiment in the 1950s was to have participants listen to spoken words in one ear while different words were played in the other ear. Participants were then asked to repeat the words of a designated ear. When participants were told, for example, to listen to the words in the left ear, they would filter out the words that were being played in the right ear. These early experiments often focused on the features of the sound, such as pitch or location. However, with auditory stimuli, perceptual objects are defined by their features, making it impossible to distinguish feature-based attention versus object-based attention. Auditory scene analysis instead considers the role of perceptual organization in selective attention. Researchers became more interested in how the auditory information is being organized in the brain rather than what type of information the brain is processing it to be. Sounds are segregated into streams. There's a stream for attention and streams for outside of the attention zone. Mismatch negativity is a popular paradigm used for investigating the neural basis of ASA, specifically looking at the primitive process. This goes a step further than Bregman, who used behavioral data to highlight the roles of the primitive processes and the higher-level schema-driven processes in perception. Using electrophysiological techniques such as an EEG, mismatch negativity paradigms would often elicit responses that would occur when there would be an infrequent change in the regular sequence of stimuli. A good way to think of this is the game Duck, Duck, Goose, with goose being the word that would elicit this type of response. A bistable perception is where there are different perceptions despite there being an identical stimuli. For example, take a look at the picture to your right. Do you see an old woman or a young woman? Despite there being the same stimuli, we may perceive two types of visual perceptions. Auditory neuroscientists use the same concept except with auditory stimuli. For example, think of Laurel versus Yanni craze of last year. What this explores is two phases of perception. The first phase, that sounds are perceptually grouped into streams, and then in the second phase, the competition between the two streams is resolved and a dominant organization is perceived. Sometimes the dominant stream can switch, allowing us to see both types of perceptions. ASA has also promoted research in recording brainstem activity caused by complex speech stimuli. This has provided new information on the roles of afferent and efferent pathways during perception. ASA has been used in the studies of clinical groups such as patients with dementia, Alzheimer's, dyslexia, and schizophrenia. They also found that aging may affect low-level automatic processes that detect, group, and segregate sounds that are similar. This may explain why older adults with good hearing can still have trouble understanding speech when there are other sounds going on in the same room. Auditory scene analysis was revolutionary. It inspired a lot of new research and is a framework that serves as a guide that will generate more research in auditory neurosciences.